Well, the 49ers have lost their offensive coordinator. The Miami Dolphins have poached Mike McDaniel. So we have questions now. Will Kyle Shanahan actually name a new offensive coordinator? And who will Mike McDaniel take with him to Miami? Everybody, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's already been a busy 49ers offseason. We are officially a week in right now. In fact, 7 days ago at this time, 49ers and the Rams were locked into the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game. But I'm guessing you don't want to talk about that. Just going to go out on a limb unless we have some Rams trolls in the chat, in which case we still won't talk about it. We're still going to talk about the 49ers and Mike McDaniel, who has been with Kyle Shanahan for longer than the 49ers era, but he's been with Kyle Shanahan for every single season of the Shanahan regime with the 49ers. So since 2017, Mike McDaniel's been there. He wasn't named offensive coordinator until this past year, until 2021. So that leads me to this question, because from 2017 to 2020, Shanahan actually didn't have a dedicated offensive coordinator because Shanahan runs the show. He calls all the plays. Before 2021, McDaniel was the 49ers run game coordinator. Mike LaFleur, who left with Robert Saleh to the New York Jets after the 2020 season, he was the pass game coordinator for those first 4 years. So after LaFleur left, the 49ers promoted McDaniel to overall offensive coordinator, but he still didn't have play calling responsibilities. So obviously now, if he wants play calling responsibilities as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel will have them, but the 49ers are going to have to find a way to make up for the loss of somebody who behind the scenes from Monday through Saturday had been designing a lot of what they ran on Sunday, especially in the run game, and Mike McDaniel. So the hiring the other day of Anthony Lynn now comes in even more handy for the 49ers, because Anthony Lynn, former head coach of the Chargers, former offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, and most recently the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, he is a specialist in the run game and designing the run game. And that's exactly where Mike McDaniel's original expertise was, as a run game designer. So what we have here now is Anthony Lynn coming aboard to really help the 49ers running backs. I think that's where you're going to see Anthony Lynn specialize as the assistant head coach to Kyle Shanahan. But during the week, I mean, he could be all rah-rah with the running backs on Sundays, right? But I think during the week, you're going to have Anthony Lynn drawing up plays for the 49ers in the run game, especially to make up for that loss of Mike McDaniel. And that leads me to this. Who will Mike McDaniel take with him to Miami? Well, I mean, I'm not going to give any definitive answers now because, to be honest, I'm not sure. There's no definite, obvious candidate like there was with Robert Saleh, who was roommates at his first graduate assistant job and his first under Brian Kelly at Central Michigan. Saleh, LaFleur were roommates. Obviously, you fast forwarded 10 years, and then they were on the same 49ers staff. So when Saleh got the job with the New York Jets, you really could have assumed that he would take Mike LaFleur with him, and he did, and LaFleur became the offensive coordinator. I don't really know if there's an obvious, and I know that there's no obvious kind of link with Mike McDaniel on this 49ers staff, but it's almost certain that he'll be able to take at least some guys, some coaches, and give them promotions as members of the Miami Dolphins staff. And, you know, this is just a natural cost of success. If you're the San Francisco 49ers, if you win, if you have a respected operation, your staff is going to get poached. And it's going to happen probably on an annual basis. So even after they went 6-10 last year, Robert Saleh was a hot candidate, and the New York Jets went and got him, and that meant that Mike LaFleur had to go too. John Benton, the offensive line coach, went as well. And this season, you're already seeing it, right? The 49ers have Mike McDaniel going to Miami. D'Amico Ryans was interviewed for the Minnesota Vikings job. Well, the 49ers will keep D'Amico Ryans. And that leads us to the final scoreboard, or the current scoreboard, for the 49ers as far as what's happening this offseason. Mike McDaniel has departed. John Embry has departed, and that's because the 49ers didn't extend his contract, and Anthony Lynn came in to take over that assistant head coach job. Richard Hightower, special teams coordinator, talked about that this morning. He's departed. That was the one phase of the game where the 49ers were languishing, where I don't think the performance was up to standard. So we'll see who they hire as the special teams coordinator. Coming up, that's going to be the big question, right? And Shanahan's decision on whether or not to name an offensive coordinator will also be a decision for this football team. But they have retained DeMeco Ryans. So the questions will remain until the 49ers get through this difficult part of the offseason as far as figuring out what to make of the staff that departs, how to fill those holes, and obviously how to prepare for free agency. All right, time to take a few questions here about Mike McDaniel moving on to Miami. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is true. I didn't mention this. The 49ers will get a compensatory third-round pick in 2022 and in 2023 for Mike McDaniel. That's obviously a big deal. That's an oversight on my part. That's something I was tweeting and writing about earlier, but we got to include it here in the YouTube Live. Because McDaniel is multiracial, the 49ers do benefit from that NFL rule. He's hired by the Dolphins. The 49ers are compensated with a third-round pick this year and one next season. Anthony Lynn would be the same story if he goes on to be hired as a head coach next year or the year after that. The 49ers would get those two third-round picks. The 49ers benefited in Robert Saleh's case from that last season where they got the two third-round picks. So they didn't completely deplete their draft pick stash with the Trey Lance trade, but they did obviously shorten that load, and they're able to get some of the picks back when some of these coaches leave. Martin Mayhew, when the executive left and was hired elsewhere. So the 49ers collection of picks now is their own second-round pick, which is number 61, their own third-round pick, which is number 93, a compensatory third-round pick for Mike McDaniel, their own fourth-round pick, number 132, their own fifth-round pick, number 171, the Broncos' sixth-round pick. They traded Jonas Griffith, remember, after training camp this year, the linebacker. That was a little bit of a coup for the 49ers. Remember, they picked up Elijah Mitchell in the sixth round, so no small deal to pick up Denver's sixth this year. And then three compensatory seventh-round picks due to free agent departures. So the 49ers have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks in this coming draft. And we all know that the draft is a cost-controlled way of doing business. So picking up this one for Mike McDaniel is a big deal with the 49ers in what might be a tough salary cap spot coming into this season. They already are only $4 million under, and they still have like 20 players left to fill out the 53 on their roster. Good question here about Elijah Mitchell. Is he a better running back in inside zone blocking instead of on the outside? I think Elijah Mitchell is a tough runner. I think he could throw his weight around when he's carrying the ball. I don't think he's the best. I think the question here is if he's better running the inside zone, right? Because I don't think he's going to be the best blocker. I think he's a little undersized for that. But I really like Elijah Mitchell running to the outside. I think Trey Sermon might be better with the inside zone if the 49ers run a little bit more of that with Trey Lance. And obviously you have Anthony Lynn, who's going to be a power run kind of specialist. He might incorporate a little bit more inside zone for the 49ers. But I just love the way that Elijah Mitchell hits those outside zone creases for the 49ers. Do I see the Super Bowl ratings high without the 49ers? Well, the Super Bowl ratings are always high, so I think they'll be good this year. They would have been higher had the 49ers been in there. They're just a bigger name brand than the Los Angeles Rams. They're essentially a bigger brand than any other NFL team. The NFL would love to see teams like the 49ers, the Cowboys in the Super Bowl for viewership purposes, but obviously they didn't get it. If you watched the numbers for 49ers Dallas this year in the wild card round, they just blew everything else out of the water. So those are marquee franchises, but obviously those marquee franchises are on the sidelines. They're playing golf here in the playoffs. All right, any more questions? Something about Aaron Rodgers. No, I don't think the 49ers are getting Aaron Rodgers. That would shock me if they did. Let's see. Will Lynn and Kyle split offensive duties? Or do the 49ers get an offensive coordinator with pass game experience? You know what? Like, I think Kyle Shanahan promoted Mike McDaniel because Mike McDaniel deserved it, but I don't think it really changed the roles on that staff too much. So I don't see Shanahan going and giving somebody an OC title just for the hell of it. Maybe Lynn gets it because of the head coaching pedigree, but I really think Anthony Lynn, take the word for what it is. Anthony Lynn's going to be working with the 49ers running backs primarily this year. Maybe he gets an honorary OC title, but I think the honorary title is assistant head coach for the 49ers this season. All right. Any more questions? I'm going to get into free agent tomorrow. Look on The Athletic. I'm going to have big, free agent primers coming out for the 49ers, maybe Tuesday. I'm going to write it tomorrow. So maybe Tuesday. Pieces are coming, both video and written. So hold your horses on that one. I will definitely get into that. This is a good question. I don't know if Lynn is better than McDaniel, McDaniel was a genius as far as the X's and O's go. There's already debate online about whether or not he's too nerdy to be an NFL head coach. We'll see. I get it. You got to be a leader of men too to be an NFL coach. But I think McDaniel, in his own way, was able to communicate with players. I mean, Kyle Juszczyk is not happy today with Mike McDaniel having left. Kyle Juszczyk, Harvard grad, McDaniel, Yale grad. I mean, those guys had friendly bets going on whenever those two rival Ivy League schools played. So the players, I think, resonated with McDaniel, especially as smart, really with his smart style of, I mean, they called him the genius, right? So with his really smart, intelligent style of applying some of the angles and the intricacies of Shanahan's offense, I think the detail-oriented 49ers really were able to vibe with that. And if McDaniel's able to get the right guys in the building in Miami, I think that they're going to also respond really well to that as well. Maybe he brings I don't know. Chris Forrester was in Miami, I think, previously, right? So it's possible, but I think that Shanahan and Forrester have a tight bond. Shanahan is the guy that gave Forrester the second chance coming from that scandal. So I think there's going to be some loyalty there too toward Kyle. And obviously the 49ers have already probably lost 2 offensive line assistant coaches and Butch Berry and Zach Yenzer. So I think they're definitely going to make sure that they keep Chris Forrester, who's one of the most respected offensive line coaches in the game. All right, guys, good questions. Pep Hamilton, former Stanford Colts guy with Andrew Luck, maybe. Again, Kyle Shanahan, I think, has the offensive brain power to make things work right now. Shanahan is the brains of the operation no matter what. I mean, he's at the center of it. McDaniel did so much to design things. Well, I think Anthony Lynn can design as well. I don't see the 49ers going all too heavy anymore on the offensive front. But, hey, maybe Kyle Shanahan thinks that he does need to mix some stuff up because it is going to be an important year to really make sure that creativity is flowing with Trey Lance presumably taking over for the 49ers. All right, everybody subscribe. This was a nice busy day. We had Richard Hightower news. We had McDaniel news. Yesterday I talked about Anthony Lynn. The offseason keeps on coming, right? So subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more of it coming soon. Subscribe to The Athletic. Everybody take care. Have a good Sunday evening.